All right, Matty, welcome back to the Ask Matty Show. Matty, how are you feeling today?
Excellent, grateful, ready to talk about some crypto.
Matty, we're not going to lie here. We did just do this intro 4 times already, and this is the last time we're going to do it right now, Matty. But before we get into the content today, team, become a Crypto Charge member. Click the link, the pinned comment below. It'll take you directly to our website. See what we got going over there. Under that, shop.cryptocharge.com. Get some swag. But finally, today, team, become a Crypto Charge member. Just subscribe to the channel. That's all we're asking. We produce a lot of content, and you need to stay in tune with everything crypto. In today's show, XRP, Casper questions, and the bull run. We're going to get into that today, team. Matty, are you ready?
Let's do this thing.
BladeMan426 says, anyone stupid enough to sell XRP at $10 never really knew what they had in the first place.
Okay. So I feel like I've iterated this a million times, and everyone's going to approach investing the way that they think is fit. If you don't find yourself apt to doing some trading and potentially capitalizing on the fact that more bear markets will come and that you could use some of that dry powder from selling and laddering out of your position at some of these targets that we have for ourselves. And again, it's not just me who's looking at 8, 10, 13, and maybe even $20 or so for the cycle, right? There's a lot of people using a lot of different indicators and a lot of different models to come to these targets. And you've seen it with a lot of assets, right? Sometimes they surprise you and they go a little bit further. And in all of my long-term holds, I have a long-term bag that doesn't get sold, right? So in this instance with XRP, that's going to be about 25% of my total bag I've been accumulating here. So I'm going to continue to have an excellent cost basis long-term, right? Some of these XRP bought at, 30 cents, 32 cents, 35 cents, right? That's a great long-term cost basis. But in order to capitalize on these market cycles, right, we have to sell more than just 10% or 15 or 20% of our bag, right? Letting go of 50% or more at these targets is a really, really good idea. And everybody says it every cycle, every bull market. This is just different. We're going to see crypto stay elevated forever. It's just going to keep going on and on and on. And of course, cycle lengths could change. We could see things, change over time. But you have to remember in tech-related assets, even if we're looking at tech stocks and stuff, right? Those are a lot more volatile than other assets in the stock market, right? Yeah, you get great pumps, but you still get pretty gnarly bear markets, and they can see further depreciation than the rest of the market. And we've seen this pattern over and over again. So you would be saying, we're going to be doing something different than we have been doing previously. I also did some math on, kind of where we would need to be for even a $10 XRP, right? My target to kind of let go of the majority of my stuff is kind of in that $13 range. And of course, we get a blow off top. Maybe I'll let go of a little bit more of that long-term bag to capitalize on a bear market, right? Is, if there's 100 billion XRP out there, right? We look at a $13 target, that puts XRP market cap at $1.3 trillion. So the total XRP market will be worth $1.3 trillion. I think that's relatively reasonable considering that the average person is looking for like $160,000 to $170,000 Bitcoin, give or take. Of course, there's predictions above and below, but that's kind of like the median example. That would put Bitcoin at almost like a $3.5 trillion market cap. So we're not putting the expectation that XRP supersedes and surpasses Bitcoin's market cap, because again, there's a lot of money in Bitcoin. We're going to continue to make higher highs and higher lows in Bitcoin, just like we will in XRP over long periods of time. That's already what the chart tells us now. If you look at where we've been consolidating now, we've still been making higher lows on top of all of that 2013 price action, right? We haven't been coming down and breaking below those lows. We've been establishing a higher floor. And I do think that continues to happen each and every cycle. But let's take market cap into account, right? Because if we're saying this very market cycle, XRP is going to be worth the anticipated value of Bitcoin, right? $3.5 trillion, right? There's a lot of money that needs to pour into the market in such a short period of time in order to make that happen. Now, I do think that we have a higher chance of a blow off top maybe in the 20s happening because we have, Coinbase and Kraken and everybody relisting XRP here for institution or retail clients for US. But again, I just want to keep my expectations in check. I would be over the moon with a $1.3 trillion market cap for XRP. Do I think that grows to 5 trillion plus over multiple cycles? Absolutely. But I'm going to be tactical with that. I'm going to have a long-term bag that continues to grow, team. So remember, I'm keeping 25% now, but when we establish a new higher low in this next cycle, let's say that's anywhere between $2 and $3, crypto surprises, maybe it's a little bit lower. That long-term bag continues to grow because each cycle I'm keeping a portion of that. So yes, my average comes up a little bit, but I'm still having a better average than the average person who would just be buying in fresh, brand new, and never had any previous exposure to the market. So again, invest the way you want to. This is mathematically going to make me more money than just holding long term.
Yeah, that's extremely reasonable, Matty, and we talked about this a few times. Number one, people don't usually have a game plan. They think they have this thing that they're going to sell with everyone in the bull run, but that usually doesn't happen. That's not a real thing, and so that's why we have guides here. But another thing, like relating to this question here, and he didn't say it necessarily, but I feel like this is what he's insinuating, is that he's saying like, oh, you don't really know what you have in terms of XRP. Are you saying that XRP is the greatest tech known to man? And the thing is, Matty, and something you've harbored on a lot here, is that we're here to invest money. We're here to make money, and that's it. We're here to make money. And that's the only thing we should really think about. Like, the tech is cool for the nerds. You know, Matty is a lot more nerdy when it comes to the tech. When it comes to me, I'm here to make money. And Matty really sold that. If you watch the last show, Matty really picked apart the charts and really broke down this next cycle or past cycles with Bitcoin and the Dow Jones and why these Fibonacci's make sense for us. But when it comes to investing here, team, we need to have a game plan for that. And we can't just simply, you know, one of the things I did with Matty last week is I showed him my game plan. My game plan is what he taught me, and I looked at how I'm investing, and I showed him, and I haven't looked over it. And Matty simply told me, he's like, dude, you're shooting yourself in the foot, bro. You're way undershooting yourself here. I was like, Matty, I was like shooting for like a first sell target at the previous all-time high, and then the 1618, and then the 4.236. And I really had to think about that because like I feel like I am shooting myself under the foot in the foot right now because of what we saw last cycle with the Ripple case and everything that's been leading up to this bull run, Matty. And so I really have to thank you for that. But with this whole XRP, like, you know, investing thing, don't you just agree, like, we just have to be ready to invest and make money and then be ready for the next bull run?
Absolutely. I think the sentiment is don't be married to your assets, no matter what they are, right? You know, I pack money away into an index universal life policy every single month. I don't plan on touching that particular money for decades and decades, right? That's a retirement plan. That's money I can borrow against in the future. There's a lot of things I can do with that. Every other asset that I own, including physical metals, when there's opportunity to realize profits based on what the charts are showing me, I capitalize on that opportunity. For example, I was accumulating a lot of physical silver down there, kind of in that $18 region, you know, buying a lot from my wholesaler guy. As I saw the chart start to pick up and we kind of got into those 20s and I saw kind of the market looked a little overheated, popped on down to my local metal shop, took profit on those, right? I had a lot of cool coins in there, a lot of cool shit that I actually was considering holding on to, but I was like, you know what? They're just assets. I bought these in investment, so let's go ahead and realize gains on that. I have to treat XRP and everything else the same exact way. And right, like I said, that long-term bag you're holding is your insurance policy against price going higher against you. But what happens more than not, right? Like you mentioned, Gavin, we're not all at the top singing Kumbaya together and selling the top of the market. Everyone's going to tell you we've got one more push. It's, you know, XRP's trading at 13, it's going to 25. It's trading at 21, it's going to 50, right? Everyone automatically assumes we have to double up again, but there's no obligation. And more often than not, you're going to get this flurry of bullish news, and that's going to keep you in the game. It's going to keep you going, keep you investing, keep you putting more cash in when the market's already red ember hot, right? But that's really the time for you to maybe back off. Still maybe contribute to your investment account, maybe stable coins, right? You can park those, earn 5%, whatever you want. Still make sure you're setting aside money for investments. But sometimes as we get into those bullish periods, it's better to have maybe more money focused on cash, right? Because there's a lot of things you can do with that. You could leverage trade with that. As you think the market is maybe topping out, you could open some short positions and make money on the way down. You don't have to be aggressive with it, right? You can layer in some low leverage shorts. You know, there's a lot of opportunity. So I truly believe that you're handcuffing yourself by saying, I don't want to sell anything under, let's say, my long-term target of $100 per XRP.
Jason Burt 8631 says, another great video. Question for you, Casper or Caspa? They don't know you, Matt, obviously.
Yeah, so most of you guys know that I am a Casperable, so that's going to be the CSPR ticker. Been studying for a while. Kevin Cage turned me on to it. I obviously have a lot of information on Casper, but Kevin is just one of the most phenomenal researchers out there. So please go check out Kevin Cage's YouTube channel. He does a lot of very in-depth, and if you guys are very technical people, he's going to satiate that itch you might have for that technical knowledge on, you know, kind of how Casper works. He, you know, does a lot of great synopsis on the interviews from their CTOs and stuff. So please check that stuff out, you know, before you get involved. I don't want you guys to ever think Matt's really bullish on this. He's been bullish on this for 18 months. I should just invest. I want you guys to feel just as confident as I do and have that knowledge base so you understand what you're getting invested in. Caspa, on the other hand, which I'm not invested in and really haven't done an enormous amount of technical research on, it's a DAG, right? So it's not a blockchain. It's a directed acyclic graph. With this model, it's a nonlinear chain, and you're essentially able to get higher throughput with this. However, this is not a novel model. AVAX uses this, Phantom uses this, Constellation Network uses this, right? So the model in itself doesn't, in my opinion, set it apart from anybody else. They're also a proof of work model, and they claim to be the fastest DAG out there. So the one thing with DAGs that we have to consider, again, I don't understand how proof of work can be the fastest model within a DAG. It really doesn't make sense to me, but I digress. I need to really do more research on that before I could say for sure. The one thing that I will say with DAGs in general is that the projected hypothetical output is a lot of times a lot higher than the actual realized output. And that's true with Phantom as well. When you go and look at the Phantom stats and you say, Phantom can be doing, whatever, 10,000 plus TPS or transactions per second, but then the actual throughput is closer to what XRP does, and it's closer to like 1,800 to like 2,500 per second, right? So just make sure you guys understand that there's like hypothetical numbers of what's possible and then what's actually happening with computation a day. But let's go ahead and build out a couple charts here. We're going to do a side-by-side panel. So if you guys are on mobile, you guys might be a little upset here, but let's go ahead and at least get a chart going for you guys. So we're gonna put Casper here on the left side, Casper, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get Casper. That's gonna be with a K, Casper. All right, boom. And we got the MEXC chart here. Let me just make sure this is the best data that we can possibly get. KuCoin looks a little uglier. CoinEx is pretty decent. All right, cool. So, and I've actually done TA on Casper before, and I never want you guys to just buy any asset because, it's at its lows and, it has this potential to do a 50 or 100x. That's never a sole reason to enter something, right? I've already done all my fundamental research on Casper. I know exactly what sets it apart from other L1s, right? The upgradable smart contracts, technically the upgradable NFTs, the proof of stake model with the great stakey rewards is fantastic. They've continued to deliver on the roadmap. I could go on and on about all the things I love about Casper, but in the instance of Casper, you've just had this incredible appreciation on the network. And that's a good thing, right? For holders. I'm definitely not poo-pooing on anyone who's made money in this. And I hope you continue to make a lot of money on this. However, I would be looking at this and I would give you the same exact analysis if we were in the bull run versus the bear market right now. Any asset that has done something like this and is at incredibly elevated levels and has had no significant retrace in here is an asset that I'm personally not interested in buying, because what is the name of the game at the end of the day? Of course, understand the fundamentals. Those got to be rock solid. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I want to capitalize on the best ROI or return on investment possible, right? So in this instance here, we've only pulled back on the Casper chart here on the right side. This little pullback in here, this was probably the biggest pullback it's seen. So swing high, swing low. This was about a 70%, 72% correction. My only concern here is if we actually kind of drag this out and see where it landed, you didn't get a pullback into the previous launch pad. So you kind of had like this top over here in December of 22. This was never satiated. And that always concerns me. And I've shown this on the Phantom chart. I've shown it on the Solana chart. I've shown it on the Matty chart. Those kinds of imbalances make me very nervous. There's also the possibility that we just never ever revisit those prices again, and that ends up being the case. But for example, Avalanche, a lot of people thought it's just going to keep going higher. It'll never come back. AVAX comes down and completely satiates its launch pad when everyone thought that was never going to happen, right? The higher and faster you throw something up into space, right, it's going to come down with the same velocity. Sometimes in the charts, it'll loft up there for a little bit, tricking people into thinking it's going to go higher and then come back down. Most charts like to be rebalanced over long periods of time. So for me, I really wouldn't be interested in Casper until maybe 1 penny. And that's obviously a huge depreciation from current market price. If you really wanted to get maybe a cheekier entry, I would look for a double bottom here off this 12 cent, 13 cent region. This is the only area where we got like a reasonable bounce and then had a little bit of previous resistance in here. And there's a couple ways we can look at the fibs, right? We can look at the first fib here from that first swing high, swing low. You guys can see we've actually already exceeded a 4.236, and we're actually using the 8 extension right now. So all you shitheads out there who think that fibs don't work on crypto charts, go ahead and tell me what's happening here. We obviously also use the 1.618 back here as support, but again, you guys do your own stuff here. That's fine. So again, if we look forward and deeper into the sequence, right, we're still going to use that same range, right? We can see the next targets are like 7 cents, 12, 19, and we get out to like these 89 and 144 extensions. We're looking at like 81 cents per Caspa. Now, my only issue with this, it becomes ROI, right? You're buying in right now. Let's say you're buying in even at these levels, and you're going to start to DCA in, right? Let's look at the 889 extension, that puts you at almost a 10x. You look at a 377 extension, that puts you at a 44x, right? But again, we're looking at a huge push through these Fibonacci's without any real pullbacks in here. The other range we can look at is the more recent swing high, swing low, right? So we're going to go ahead and grab that little pullback that we had in there, and it shows that 4.236 would be right around 15 cents per CASPA, right? So we're looking at current market price. We're looking at like a 2x from current market price. And of course, we can see well into several dollars if we go deeper into the sequence, right? Up to a 377, which Bitcoin has done over long periods of time, will put us at like a $12 CASPA, right? So I'd put you at kind of like an XRP style trade. But again, we've just had this aggressive march through the bear market, which again, anyone who's a CASPA holder, love that for you. I hope that you've been maybe laddering out a little bit, especially if you've been an early buyer, roll one penny, right? Don't be greedy here. But make sure that you understand the long-term plan. Make sure the ROI looks good for you, because when I look at the CASPA chart, let's go ahead and just dial back down into the single chart here, right? This is not nearly as attractive looking as the CASPA chart, right? Because we don't have higher highs and higher lows yet. What we have done is we've created an accumulative base in here, right? Since May of 2022, we've kind of created this accumulative base in here, and it's very, very clear. And there's a lot of smaller caps that try to do this, and then they establish it for a very short period, and they continue to break into new lows. We've kind of caught the knife here with Casper, and we've built a little bit of a floor. So what I'd like to do here, and again, there is an illiquidity wick on Casper, and here on the crypto chart, it's just a $28 Casper. Interestingly enough, that also lines up with the 21 fib extension, but I digress. I don't want you guys with your head in the clouds saying Casper's going to $27 this cycle. Never ever in the world am I promising that. I'm telling you, there's probably like a 0.01 chance that this happens, right? And don't dumb and dumber me. So you're saying there's still a chance? No, I'm telling you guys what we're doing right now. So I'm going to go with the daily candle body close as our swing high. That's at $1.31. So again, team, right now trading at 3.2 cents, $1.31 being that previous daily candle close, right? If we take ourselves just up to there, we have a 41x just coming back to revisit that daily close, right? That's kind of like the CASPA ultimate. We reach a 33.77 and go deep into the sequence, right? Of course, we look beyond that and we look at where the extensions put us. That puts us between $2 and almost $6, $5.55 up there, right? You guys don't need the math on that. That's a several hundred X if you're looking up to a full extension. But I'm going to be over the moon and incredibly grateful with a $2 Casper in here. I'd be grateful with a $1.33 Casper. And in this cycle, if we get a blow off top in here, I would probably let go of more of my Casper. I'd probably only keep about 10% of my total Casper if we were to get a push up into these ranges. Because again, team, been accumulating in here. You're looking at 3.2 cents. You're looking at this range up here. You're looking at a 140x. Do not get greedy, right? Of course, the fibs take us deeper and deeper into the sequence. And again, like I said, that wick is supported by that 21 fib using those daily candle closes. And it shows us that Casper could be worth several $100s in the future. But again, market cap does matter, and we need to consider the total maturation of the crypto market. As the crypto market becomes more mature and we get to some of these figures that people are talking about, like BNY Mellon and JP Morgan and State Street and all these money managers of 15 to 30 trillion in tokenized assets by 2030, a lot of this becomes more possible, but it still requires that Casper offers something proprietary compared to other competitors that come into the space. It is incredibly likely that within the next 6 years, there will be great technology that comes out that we want to invest in that will also offer great ROI. So insurance policy is good, but realize those profits, guys, because crypto will not always be a 100, 150, 200x opportunity. Those returns will diminish just like other markets that maturate over time.
Boom, mic drop. John Jacobs leaves a comment saying, what's happening with Zcash? I have it through my Roth IRA, believe it or not, and it got suspended.
That's pretty weird. I don't know who is servicing your Roth IRA. I know that iTrust Capital lets you custody just about everything. I know that they brought XRP back on. I actually am not 100% sure if they offer Zcash, but that's something to look into. Every provider is going to have their own risk tolerance, right? And that kind of depends on how big of an agency they are. Let's say they're a smaller agency, and they don't necessarily have that same legal, war chest to be able to defend themselves if some regulator were to come out and they're, afraid of getting, nixed for offering privacy coins that are, we could get into the whole can of worms here, but I think that really comes down to certain individuals being concerned about these privacy coins being banned, or certain individuals saying, hey, you offered unregistered securities of this privacy coin that allow people to launder money, right? Bigger institutions, they don't really care because they have money to defend that, and they're like, well, we didn't launder the money, somebody else used a shielded address, that's not my problem, right? But again, I'm not concerned about Zcash in itself. I do store that in my cold storage device. If you guys use the Ledger Nano or the Trezor, you guys get the opportunity to store your Zcash there, and again, nobody can do anything with that for me, right? Like I'm the only one who can move it. Even if the government says Zcash is now illegal, nothing they can do. It's in my device, right? They can't rip it out. There's absolutely nothing they can do about it. Now, again, I know that you're probably trying to capitalize on that tax benefit from storing it in your Roth IRA and being able to buy and sell as you go. But I would look into iTrust Capital if that's not who you're already using and see if they offer Zcash for your long-term hold.
Matty, just to clarify here, because when I read this, I immediately thought privacy coin was the reason, because over the last year and a half, we've seen this rollout of anti-privacy within crypto. There was that whole thing in Europe with Tornado Cash, or they arrested the guy. I don't know if he's still behind bars or whatever. But
unfortunately, he is.
Oh, geez. Anyways, the whole thing with privacy plays right now. Is this really is this a suppression event, kind of similar to the Ripple lawsuit? Would you say, is this something in the same vein?
That's how I feel about it. And you do have certain governments saying that you're not allowed, certain exchanges not allowed to offer privacy coins. And there's only one reason they don't like it, right? It's because they don't have the transparency into what you're doing with your transactions. Now, you can send Zcash to an unshielded address, and that would be public information. But because you do have the ability to use shielded addresses, that puts a lot of concern in governments because they don't have control over that. But again, I think that at the end of the day, code is free speech. It's something that's protected by the First Amendment. That's really what we're investing in. We're investing in mechanisms that, secure code and secure networks. And hopefully we get a ruling that gives us even more blanket clarity on, code and tokens being free speech. Of course, that's a little bit more of a fundamental approach, but, I'm going to continue with my Zcash play. If somebody doesn't want you to own something, there's probably a pretty good reason why, right? I think that a lot of people were surprised by XRP. You guys would be surprised how many comments we got on TikTok and YouTube and everything. You guys are, out of your minds, just dump your XRP and sell it for ETH, sell it for Bitcoin, the guaranteed winners. XRP is an unregistered security, and you guys are wrong. And there's no consequence for those shitheads out here just talking absolute nonsense, misleading people, spreading misinformation, never read a lick of legal jargon in their life, right? Again, I'm not an attorney, but I do have a paralegal certification. So I would say I'm more qualified than 99% of the people talking on the internet about what these legal documents mean, right? So again, I think when we come down to these assets that are at their all-time lows, it's a great time to kick people while they're down. Make people feel less confident about their investment, tell them to dump it, right? And imagine Zcash goes and just fills its previous all-time high at $3,500, $3,600. We're trading at 20-something bucks right now, guys. Huge opportunities afoot. And again, I don't think these opportunities are forever. Once that Zcash play is done, I'm not going to DCA back into Zcash. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime ROI opportunity on Zcash.
Matty, you bring up a lot of great points there and made me start thinking about, you told me something a long time ago, and it was basically it's it's everyone versus everyone in crypto. There is no, there's been this whole thing on crypto YouTube and Twitter with everyone, and everyone wants to unite behind people these big crypto influencers, but it's always a me versus Matty game. It's always a Matty versus someone else game, because a perfect example of this is the whole Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan. Jamie Dimon's talking down crypto, yet JP Morgan's making their own crypto. It's this weird thing, because why do they want to do that, Matty? Why would Jamie Dimon talk down crypto so that JP Morgan can facilitate blockchain tech within JP Morgan? Why would they do that, Matt?
I mean, you look at, I would say there's a lot of Gen Z and maybe, let's say, younger to maybe mid-millennials, right? We're a little bit more savvy than the average Joe, right? We've had the internet for a while. We have access to a lot of different information. We're probably not going to be as dissuaded by those kinds of comments from somebody like Jamie Dimon. However, there's the older generation that already doesn't manage a good portion of their investments, right? They hand their money to a financial investor in one of these institutions, a JP Morgan, a Fidelity, a State Street, right? A BNY Mellon. And they say, put my money in whatever you think is going to do best, right? I want to retire. This is what I'm looking to make in my retirement, right? Those are the people that are dissuaded and given and armed with more disinformation to spread with more people, right? This gives JP Morgan and other players opportunity to, one, buy existing crypto assets they know are valuable as price continues to stay suppressed. They're probably putting on their balance sheet as they talk shit. And then it also gives them the opportunity to build other products and things ahead of their competition and maybe mislead them that they're not so interested in this technology, right? JP Morgan is piloted their own wallet. They piloted their own stable coins, their own internal bank stable coins. And that's something that probably will become a little bit more popular is, we have our stable coins that within retail use, but if you're able to create tokens that are worth credits at your bank and you have instant finality with them, that's another valuable instrument, right? Not something we can necessarily invest in, but can create instant finality. So I think that there's a variety of reasons why these big guys talk it down, but a lot of it comes down to creating a bigger advantage for themselves.
Great topics, great things to talk about there, Matty. Very passionate. I get very passionate about some of these topics. And we get even more passionate at cryptocharge.com. Please check us out there. We got to go do a show right now. I know Matty is going to kill it. And Matty will break down the news, the technicals, everything that's going on in crypto. So, team, please click that link in the pinned comment below and check us out there and catch us at the Crypto Charge live show. But until next time, team, we'll see you next week. See ya.